Lipman is recognized as the founder of Philosophy for Children, also abbreviated as P4C. In this podcast, we'll look at why Lipman believed children should study philosophy, cultural influences on his theory, benefits and challenges to his theory, and how philosophy for children has relevance today in the primary school curriculum. Let's take a closer look at what P4C exactly is and how it's taught. P4C uses a method called community of inquiry. This means that knowledge formation takes place in a social context. Lipman argues that a classroom is a type of community of inquiry, which leads to questioning, reasoning, deliberating, challenging, and problem solving. To begin, the teacher uses a story to introduce a covert question or topic. The children engage in an open-ended Socratic dialogue. The teacher encourages students to focus on key concepts within a question, while at the same time persisting to find an answer, even if one doesn't exist. The lesson is not about looking for consensus. It's about encouraging children to think for themselves, to dig deep beneath the surface of a story, and offer their points of view to others to agree with, disagree with, or partially agree with. Now let's take a look at what influenced Lipman to develop his practice of philosophy for children. His decision to bring philosophy to young people came from his experience as a professor at Columbia University. Here, he witnessed underdeveloped reasoning skills in his students. His interest was particularly on developing reasoning skills by teaching logic. He believed that children are naturally predisposed to question and wonder at a young age. This led him to believe that bringing logic to children's education earlier would help them to improve their reasoning skills. It's also interesting to note that Lipman's theory was developed in the 1970s. This was a time of social conflict and a baby boom. At that time, there was a growing interest in education programs to develop thinking skills and a feeling that people ought to be able to think for themselves. Educationalists were concerned that schools were making pupils into passive learners who expected to be told what to think. They feared that the school system was providing poor preparation for further learning and for life itself. Lipman's theory falls under the category of generalist theories. Generalist theories of education are based upon the idea that general abilities of thinking are the sign of a well-structured mind. They also examine the development of critical thinking. Generalist theorists would argue that rather than being specialized for a particular education, people need to be able to deal with the problems that confront all members of a democratic society. So are there benefits to philosophy for children? Well, the research would indicate that there are. These include developments in cognitive ability, developments in critical reasoning skills and dialogue in the classroom, and emotional and social developments. In a study by Tricky in 2007, it was found that teaching philosophy could increase students' IQ by up to 6.5 points. This was the result of teaching 1 hour of philosophy a week over a 16-month period. As well as an increase in IQ, there was a significant improvement in emotional intelligence. However, there are a number of challenges to the implementation of philosophy for children in schools. First of all, a number of practical issues affect the teaching of philosophy in classrooms. These include the training of teachers and curriculum overload. However, perceptions of philosophy for children in schools remains one of the biggest challenges. Teachers also have a fear of conflict between religion and philosophy. So does philosophy for children have any relevance in today's primary school? The influence of Lipman's theory can be seen in many of the principles of the primary school curriculum as outlined below. Indeed, philosophy for children is currently being taught in over 60 countries worldwide. In 2011, UNESCO called for more philosophy in schools. As well as this, a recent interest in philosophy for children has emerged as a result of calls by global industries for greater focus on critical thinking in education. An Irish version of P4C called Thinking Time has been developed in St Patrick's College. A pilot programme of Thinking Time has been successfully implemented in St Benedict's National School in Ongar. In 2012, funding was sought for a pilot philosophy programme in primary schools in Cork, but, rejecting the proposal, Minister Rory Quinn said that the immediate priority was on language and maths. This is a shame, considering philosophy helps develop the higher order critical thinking skills which are fundamental to good numeracy and literacy. While the debate surrounding philosophy for children continues, one can't help but wonder if philosophy for children is something we shall be hearing a lot more about, or indeed maybe a subject we shall be teaching in the primary schools of the